The Pokemon market has just got some serious competition. Though as it stands, Pokemon are still the kings in terms of TCG. And right now, most of the TCGs are still looking up to Pokemon. And yeah, they're still all leagues behind. And Pokemon's hobby and ecosystem are huge. And the TCG scene alone is one of the biggest areas of the whole franchise. Pokemon cards are continuously getting more and more competition. And it seems every day now, a new TCG is releasing with an insane amount of hype. And then it gets sold out and people wonder, hey, is this gonna be the next thing? Is this the next thing I should be collecting? Though in this video, I do wanna go over what's happening with other TCGs and why they've been growing so much. And ultimately, will these actually be a big thing that happens and it's gonna be a threat to Pokemon's dominance? So I suppose the biggest reason this video is right now being created is because the amount of people asking me about Palworld, from comments to Instagram messages to Discord, people want to know if Palworld is just going to be a phase or will it be able to live on its own? And I'm not surprised why collectors are really wondering this right now, because we are now more connected to our hobbies than ever before. And in a big way, what we collect is ultimately what we love and what we enjoy doing. And one of the best ways to do that is with trading cards, because they're just a universal way to collect. It's really easy. They're easy to trade, easy to buy, things like that. And now Pokemon isn't just the one creating trading cards, because we got Dragon Ball Fusion World and Dragon Ball Masters as well. They've both exploded in popularity this year. Literally, they've become the hardest TCG to get on release. One Piece is totally in its own lane. It's so popular that the market for One Piece is growing so much so that even if Pokemon wasn't even popular today, One Piece would still be doing completely fine. Lorcana, Palworld, everyone and everything, there's just a TCG for everything. And people who just love buying collectibles, they're just getting way more curious right now. Now, Palworld has spiked my interest personally because Palworld essentially has become a symbol. It's become this beacon for all the people who have been disappointed with Pokemon over the years. They kind of look at Palworld as a bit of a saving grace. Palworld is essentially, hey, look what happens when you genuinely put effort into a game. The idea and the core philosophy does draw a lot of inspiration from Pokemon, and sometimes you're like, whoa, that's maybe a little bit too much inspiration. But regardless, you have an enormous dedicated fan base who almost will support Palworld out of spite because that's how much they love it. Now, the thing about Palworld, I've gotten into the game recently and I've been documenting a lot of my thoughts about it. I will talk about the Palworld TCG, but on my channel's Philip Trick Room, I do have a video in the works of my experience playing Palworld, especially as a lifelong Pokemon gamer. So if you are interested in that perspective, that will be releasing on Philip's Trick Room in the next few weeks. You can check out that channel in the video's description. Though in terms of a TCG and the investment / collector appeal of Palworld, I will get into that throughout this video, and I will explain my thoughts on where I think the future of Palworld is heading. But first, I do want to talk about this competition and how much is ramping up for Pokemon. And I do think this is actually getting really exciting because Pokemon are the kings, or whatever you want to call them. Whether it's on a trading card, whether it's cereal, man. Well, I mean, it's Oreos. I don't know, like anything that has Pokemon, it goes insane. It's just one of those crazy hobbies. In fact, so I actually wanted to buy like a Pokemon hat, and I found a Puma and Mimikyu collaboration hat, which I thought was so cool. And this was on a discount for like 28 Australian dollars, pretty much 20 USD. And I was thinking, wow, I really want to buy this hat. It is so cool. So I did buy it. And yeah, I just thought like, I couldn't believe that I got some Pokemon merch that wasn't insanely priced and was actually on a discount, because that's what Pokemon's like at the moment, okay? It is insane. Whatever releases from Pokemon, it is crazy. People jump on it. Now, Pokemon cards are still the dominant area. No one really looks at Pokemon as they're in a bad position. Every TCG, no matter who they are, they still look at Pokemon and they all kind of get inspired from Pokemon in a lot of ways. And Pokemon does its own thing. It doesn't do serialized cards. It's not trying to do crazy things to keep up. Like when you look at Magic the Gathering, they're always doing something new, something fresh, something different to keep people engaged. Whereas Pokemon, they just go, hey, here's the next set, enjoy it. And people are like, yep, no, we love this. So it is in a more interesting position for that, but the competition side is really getting kind of exciting because competition is really healthy. And I will be explaining why competition is so good for us as consumers as well. Though if you do buy a lot of Pokemon cards and you also sell them, I do want to talk about today's sponsor, Double Hollow. Now, Double Hollow is a Pokemon marketplace that has some genuinely unique features that go beyond just being a marketplace. Though why it's such a great place for selling is because Double Hollow has a 4.9% platform fee, though where Double Double Holo really stands out from the rest is with its premium tools. These genuinely elevate the website. One awesome one is the pack value tool. So a big question in the hobby right now is whether or not a pack is worth opening or if it's just best left kept sealed. Well, this actually calculates the expected value of opening a booster pack, and then it compares the EV to the current price of the booster pack in the market. This is honestly such a useful feature because you can sometimes see more real clear data of what's happening. Another premium tool is the top pick section. This analyzes the top 10 Pokemon cards to be on the lookout for right now versus the top 10 cards to avoid at the moment. Honestly, Double Holo makes buying and selling Pokemon cards much easier, and if you do want to try it out, I do have a 30% discount code for your first month. You can see the code and all the details in the video's description. A big thank you to Double Holo support on the channel. Now let's get back to it. Though as I was saying earlier in the video, I do want to get into Palworld, and especially as it's been climbing in price and there's just a huge fan base. So if you're unaware, the TLDR here is around Palworld, and they've released a new set or a new booster box. Now this is the Dawn of Palpagos, but in terms of this as a collectible, let's first break it down. Dawn of Palpagos is the first booster box for Palworld, and it contains only 12 booster packs per box. So just with that alone, don't think this is already anywhere near a Pokemon booster box with 36 packs. You're getting 1/3 of the packs inside. And this is important because people miss this a lot. This is so common. People don't realize that a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh sets, Dragon Ball Fusion World, a lot of those are 24 booster packs. And they say, hey, no, Dragon Ball's the same price as Pokemon, the booster box. Might be the same price, but you are getting less booster packs inside. Same thing with this. This is even worse because you get 1/3. So if you're looking at the price of it and you're going, oh yeah, it's similar to a price of a Pokemon booster packs, you're totally wrong because you are getting far less packs. You do need to keep that in mind. But where I think it is looking really awesome is the super parallels and the super special parallels. From what I can see, Palworld has really created a good first product, and I'm not surprised that fans are eating this up. Though I have to be honest with you here, I'm not an insane Palworld fan. I'm not like a Palworld glazer. Though there is one thing I can clearly see as I've been playing Palworld and consuming the media, and that is that people essentially view Palworld as a bit of a thank you for what you've done. I'm not gonna lie, playing Palworld, it kind of makes like the latest Pokemon Legends ZA game look like a mobile game. And I think Palworld has kind of revealed to the world what can happen when you take something like the ideas and concepts of Pokemon and really act and take them seriously. Where you don't just treat the franchise like some endless cash cow that people are just gonna buy it regardless because it has Pokemon written on the box. I mean, the same thing with Pokemon cards. It just feels like, hey, just because it has Pokemon, people will just buy it. And it's kind of this endless cycle of, do we even need to put in that much effort because people are gonna buy it anyway? And let's be real, Palworld really annoyed Pokemon. And now playing it and experiencing it, I can see why, man, because the reception of Scarlet and Violet, it got the worst criticism ever that I've seen for a Pokemon video game. And Palworld only released pretty much a year and a few months after that, and people were just obsessed with it. They loved it. And before I speak about the TCG and my position on it, I do want to just mention something, that competition is the best thing for all of us. Never get sucked into thinking, oh man, I'm a Pokemon guy. Oh no, I'm just a Palworld guy. Oh no, I don't like Yu-Gi-Oh. I love Magic. Don't get sucked into that, man, because competition benefits all of us as consumers. One of the worst things to happen was when PS5 and Xbox, they were at that console war thing. And now, like during PS3 and Xbox 360, they had to compete. And what did they do? That meant more kind of user-friendly experiences for us. That meant better pricing for us because the competitors were all at it. But as soon as the competition dies off and you think, you may think, yeah, the thing that you like won, but really it doesn't benefit anyone other than the corporation. And look, honestly, in terms of my honest thoughts about Palworld and the trading card games, I first want to say that I think one of the worst leg shots in history that I've seen in recent years was the fact that Pokemon and Nintendo, what they kind of made of the whole thing, taking Palworld to court, because that has created a super fan scenario. So if they just simply let it be, it would have been probably whatever. But because they actively got their fingers into it and made a whole mess of it, it's made a little bit of a David and Goliath energy around Palworld. And now the people who are like, yeah, I like Palworld, because Pokemon and Nintendo have taken action against them, they've almost become, people have become obsessively insane with defending Palworld, and now they kind of see like, no, we need to protect it. So in terms of the TCG, yeah, man, I do think Palworld has a very strong future, and I wouldn't discredit it. I definitely wouldn't just say, oh yeah, people just buy it now because everyone likes TCG, because if you know, and if you do watch my channel, I always teach all of you to think beyond the card price. I really focus on the history of collectibles, the ecosystem, and how people engage with collectibles. It's all about emotions, and people around the world are highly emotional and connected with supporting Palworld, especially with all the recent drama. And real talk, man, when you play the game for a few hours, at first, I'm not gonna lie, you're like, wow, okay, that is drawing like a bit too much inspiration, but then after a few hours, you kind of forget about it. It's really its own game. In fact, sometimes the game reminded me more of Breath of the Wild than Pokemon in a lot of ways. But what I'm trying to say is, because the problem with Palworld and the problem with Pokemon has gone against it. If they left it, it kind of would have been like, no, you're not a threat. But because they actively went against it, it kind of said like, no, Palworld is something that we do need to be worried about. And more than that, now with the TCG, those same super fans, those same people that look at, like I said before, that it's become this kind of way to protect Palworld, they've came in, these super fans, and they're going to protect it. So in terms of the TCG, everything about collectibles is emotional. And what are Palworld fans and their connection with Palworld? What is it? There's a strong emotion there. It has to be protected. We love our pals. No, this is awesome. No, we're not going to be, the list goes on. And I'm even saying this, I'm not even a massive Palworld fan. I mean, I've enjoyed the game so far, but in terms of me, I just kind of experienced it in the last week, but I can already see that connection point. I can see how much people are connected to it. I go online, I can read it. You just got to make that connection point. When there's so much emotions there, it is hard for something to just go like fall down in thin air, especially when you have a massive amount of people that want it to succeed. And real talk, the cards of Palworld do look great, and because of that emotional attachment and this feeling that people want to protect it, I definitely wouldn't discredit it. And even with this whole TCG thing, okay, I saw Palworld released on PS5 and I was like, I'm gonna get around to it one day, I just don't have the time for it. But because of the TCG and all these questions, I go, nah man, I need to consume this. I need to actually learn what is happening with this. I need to kind of learn the story. I wanna actually understand this before I speak about it, but by me actually playing it, I've now got a different perspective, because if I just commented on it because I wanted to win the race on who's gonna be first to talk about a trending topic, I'd be giving the worst kind of opinion, because I'd just be like, no, Palworld, what's that? Who cares about that? So now that I've actually experienced it, I can see, no man, there is a dedicated fan base here. And in a lot of ways, I actually don't, from what I thought Palworld was and this crazy Pokemon ripoff, now that I've played it, I don't really see it like that as well. I actually think that was a great marketing tactic for the game, and it still is a great marketing tactic, because the people who haven't experienced it still just go, hey, it's Pokemon with guns. But then when you actually get into the game and you actually learn the world, it's its own thing, and it's actually done a phenomenal job in what they've done. And in terms of the TCG, no, for sure, I'm excited for it. The thing is, right now, people want Pokemon in a lot of ways to fail because they're angry, the chase cards, the prices. So you do have a big pocket of people kind of like that. They've got spite, man. They just want Pokemon to kind of go through its own thing because they've been annoyed. I've seen this in the Pokemon gaming community. It's massive. People are frustrated as with Pokemon. In the TCG, it's not that bad, but you know, when you got 2 years of consistently not being able to get product, people get upset. People aren't happy with Pokemon anymore. They're wanting different things. So that's why really look at this through all angles. And when you look at the competition with all TCGs, I think right now is a crazy time in the hobby, because I personally think coming into 2027, you're going to see a lot of people be focused on the new TCGs. You're going to see a lot of people wanting something else, because you can only go for so long having the same thing. And now I think in terms of collectibles, 2027 is going to be a really cool year, because my biggest prediction, and I will be speaking about it in a future video, but I think the other TCG areas are gonna grow crazy. I think Pokemon won't be able to hold their position as just this one horse race. I still think they're gonna be on the top. Don't get me wrong, Pokemon will still be at #1, but I do think everyone else is just gonna come up, and they're gonna come up at supersonic speed. But with all these areas, it does bring up a big question relating to Pokemon cards in 2027, and I do speak about that in this video on screen here. In this video, I explain the next 12 months for Pokemon cards. Click that video appearing on screen. I really appreciate you watching, and I'll see you there.